WUSA 9 is the official television partner of the Washington Commanders, and we know quarterback Jayden Daniels, he really hasn't spoken to reporters since rookie minicamp a few weeks ago, but we also know he has been the talk of the town.
It is my great pleasure to announce that the 2023 Heisman Trophy winner is Jayden Daniels.
Welcome to American Baller, where we focus on all things NFL. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell for future videos. Jayden Daniels has absolutely shown out thus far 8 weeks into his rookie season. However, the hype is getting to be a bit insane. Many are going as far as to claim that he is a dark horse candidate. To put this into perspective, there's not been a single rookie quarterback to win the award, and only one rookie in NFL history has ever taken home the award, that player being Jim Brown. Today, we'll take a look at Daniels' NFL career thus far from start to finish to determine if he has what it takes to keep up this high level of play for the remainder of the season and if he's truly worth the hype. What scouts thought about Daniels heading into the draft. Heading into the 2024 NFL Draft, Daniels was one of the most hyped-up prospects in the draft. Fresh off of winning a Heisman Trophy, however, many saw Caleb Williams as the undeniable first overall pick. NFL.com ranked him as the second-best quarterback in the class, and NFL analyst Lance Zierlein said in his scouting report, "With 5 seasons of starting experience under his belt, Daniels possesses a rare blend of playmaking talent and command from the pocket. He's tall but slender, so there will be concerns about durability considering how often he ran in college. However, teams must also recognize that he has no issue sitting in the pocket and working through progressions as a platform thrower with good mechanics and footwork. Daniels possesses the football intelligence to get himself protected and take care of the football with quality decision-making. He's an accurate passer over the first 2 levels and throws with anticipation to slice and dice zone coverages. He lacks ideal size and arm talent, but he's much more capable as a runner and passer than most of the quarterbacks who have moved on to the next level lately." Falling to second in the draft. While the Chicago Bears made what was the no-brainer decision to take Williams with the first overall pick, at the second overall spot, the Washington Commanders selected Jayden Daniels. While we're still not even half of the way through their rookie season, if things keep trending in the direction that they have so far, this could end up being a draft day decision that goes on to haunt the Bears for years to come. How has he played thus far? Daniels started his NFL career off on the wrong foot. In Week 1, the Commanders took on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs' secondary held him in check, allowing him to throw for only 184 yards and 0 touchdowns. Despite these underwhelming numbers, he was still able to complete 70.8% of his passes and didn't throw a single pick. While he struggled to find the end zone through the air, the same cannot be said for his rushing attack. Daniels picked up 88 yards and a pair of scores on the ground. Despite this, the Commanders still came up short, losing by a final score of 37-20. In Week 2, the Commanders took on the New York Giants in an NFC East showdown. Once again, while Daniels failed to find the end zone through the air, he had a respectable day through the air, throwing for 226 yards, 0 interceptions, and completing 79.3% of his passes. Another 0 touchdown day through the air led many to become a bit concerned about how Daniels would pan out. Despite him not being responsible for a single touchdown, the Commanders came out on top by a final score of 21-18. The following week, against the Cincinnati Bengals, Daniels finally had his coming out party. He had a nearly perfect game from start to finish. He only threw 2 incompletions the entire game, completing 21 of his 23 attempts. Along with this, he threw for the first touchdown of his NFL career, finishing the game with 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 picks. He also got it done on the ground as well, rushing for 39 yards and a touchdown. This is one of the greatest performances we have ever seen from a quarterback, let alone a rookie. To put the cherry on top, Washington took the game by a final score of 38-33. Following this incredible showing, Daniels kept his foot on the gas in Week 4 against the Arizona Cardinals. He once again had an incredible completion percentage of 86.7%, only throwing 4 completions the entire game. While he did throw the first pick of his career, Daniels still recorded 233 yards and a touchdown through the air. He continued to prove his ability to get it done with his legs as well, rushing for an additional 47 yards and a touchdown. Washington once again came out on top, this time by a final score of 42-14. In Week 5, Daniels and the Commanders matched up against the Cleveland Browns. The Browns' elite defensive units made the rookie QB look human after two very strong showings in back-to-back weeks. Daniels was held in check, throwing for 238 yards, a touchdown, and a pick, while only completing 56% of his passes. Thus far, this has gone on to be his second lowest completion percentage in a game this season. Despite his rough day through the air, the Commanders still came out on top convincingly by a final score of 34-13. Even when he's not playing his best, Daniels has time and time again done what is needed to be done to put the Commanders in winning positions. In the next game, Washington took on a Super Bowl contender in the Baltimore Ravens. After a down game against Cleveland the week prior, Daniels locked back in and had a very strong day through the air, throwing for 269 yards and a pair of touchdowns without throwing a single interception while completing 68.6% of his passes. Despite this, the Commanders came just short of a win and were narrowly defeated by a final score of 30-23. In Week 7, Daniels was primed for a huge day against a bottom-feeder team of the league in the Carolina Panthers. However, his day came to a premature end after suffering a rib injury that kept him sidelined for almost the entire game. He was only able to throw 2 passes, completing them both for 6 yards before sustaining the injury. Even without Daniels on the field, the Commanders were able to come out on top by a final score of 40-7. Leading up to Washington's Week 8 matchup against the Chicago Bears, it was up in the air if Daniels would be able to make a return to the field. However, he couldn't pass up the chance to take on the quarterback who was drafted in front of him in Caleb Williams. This was set up to be an elite showdown between two of the best players from the 2024 draft. Chicago did an incredible job of holding Daniels in check, and there's a strong chance that he was still being affected by his injury. While he had his lowest completion percentage of the season so far at 55.3%, Daniels still had an elite day through the air. He finished the contest with 326 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 picks. He showed the poise of a seasoned veteran late in the game, winning the game for the Commanders as time expired on a miracle Hail Mary touchdown. Washington won the game by a final score of 18-15, and Daniels may have made a few personnel in the Bears front office begin to second-guess their first overall decision on draft day. Are his opponents so far worth talking about? While Daniels has posted some very impressive numbers and really has come into his own so far in the first half of the season, skeptics have brought up the fact that Daniels has thrived against teams with inferior pass defenses, and once he takes on top-tier competition, holes in his game will begin to become clear. There may be some truth to this. His Week 1 opponent, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, currently ranked 29th in passing yards allowed and 27th in passing touchdowns allowed, clearly one of the worst pass defenses that the league has to offer. Up next, Daniels took on the New York Giants. The Giants have had a very strong pass defense so far this season, ranking 6th in passing yards allowed and 9th in passing touchdowns allowed. In Week 3, they took on a Cincinnati Bengals defense that ranked 22nd in passing yards allowed and 20th in passing yards allowed, another bottom-tier pass defense. In their following game against the Arizona Cardinals, Daniels took on another below-average pass defense, with them currently ranking 26th in passing yards allowed and 17th in passing touchdowns allowed. Up next, in the matchup against the Cleveland Browns, Daniels and the Commanders faced their second above-average pass defense of the season. While they are by no means a top defensive unit against the pass, Cleveland currently ranks 12th in both passing yards allowed and passing touchdowns allowed. The next week, they took on arguably the worst pass defense in the entire league in the Baltimore Ravens. Despite being a very talented team, Baltimore is awful against the pass, allowing the most passing yards in the league and the third most passing touchdowns. As Daniels was only able to throw 2 passes against the Carolina Panthers before being sidelined, we're gonna skip over them. In his most recent matchup against the Chicago Bears, he faced a very talented pass defense. Currently, Chicago ranks 11th in passing yards allowed and has allowed the fewest passing touchdowns in the league. In his 3 matchups against above average to elite pass defenses, Daniels has averaged a completion percentage of 63%, 263 yards, 0.67 touchdowns, and 0.33 interceptions. Also, interestingly, in these matchups, he's failed to find the end zone on the ground either. Can he keep this up for the remainder of the year? For Daniels to continue to be looked at as one of the most talented young talents at the quarterback position, he's going to have to prove himself against talented pass defenses. Currently, the Commanders are well on pace to make the playoffs, and if they do end up making a trip to the postseason, it'll not take long before the weaknesses in the game are exposed. However, with still over half of the season left, there's still plenty of time for him to continue to develop, improve his game, and adjust to some of the top-tier pass defenses that the league has to offer. Daniels may have to find a new gear to get Washington into the postseason. However, if he's able to take them to the playoffs after being one of the worst teams in the league just the year prior, it may be enough to earn him the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. Is Jayden Daniels worth the hype? Jayden Daniels is well worth a fair amount of hype. While people are going a bit overboard in saying that he deserves to be in the MVP conversation, he's had an incredible start to the season, especially for a rookie. He has currently accumulated 1,736 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 2 picks, while picking up an additional 424 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground, doing all of this while leading the Commanders to a 6-2 record. While he still has some room to grow before he's a true MVP candidate, as long as nothing major changes between now and the end of the regular season, he's a shoo-in for the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. For one of the few times in recent history, the future is bright in Washington as long as Daniels is at the helm.
Thank you for tuning in to American Baller. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell for future videos.